Now, I opened the show tonight with just some of my concerns about this proposed voice to Parliament. I consider it a dangerous and racist proposal that's going to change Australia for the worse. If it succeeds, those changes will be almost irreversible, making us effectively an apartheid state where some groups of people actually have greater rights than others. Well, here to discuss some of the potential ramifications of a successful voice vote is Peter Kurti from the Centre for Independent Studies. Peter, really good to have you on.
Thank you, Cory.
People really thought through just what the voice means to Australian society and how it's going to affect us personally?
Well, I think that there are two things for us to grasp. The first is the idea of recognition, and there was talk about constitutional recognition, as you know, and this is something that could have happened in the preamble, and I think most Australians are in favour of recognising Indigenous Australians in the Constitution. That's the first thing. But this voice is a very different matter, because this is supposed to be an advisory group that now, according to the proposal unveiled by the Prime Minister last week, will now be able to give advice and be required to be heard at all levels of government, not just the Parliament, but the executive government as well, which means that it'll be very difficult for any government or for the executive to ignore what the voice has to say. So, as you said in your opening remarks, this is absolutely true, that it will change the way Australia is governed. It will introduce a racial division into what is a harmonious and unified country, and it will mean that far from being equal, people will be made unequal on the basis of race. And I think that's the real worry about this. And as you also said, once it's in the Constitution, it'll be very, very difficult, if not impossible, to change.
Yeah, and this is what gets me. The Parliament could easily legislate for an Aboriginal or an Indigenous advisory body. They've chosen not to because they want to lock it away. But going back to these referendums, your book, you wrote a book on this subject called Beyond Belief. It says there's been 44 attempts made to change the Constitution since Federation. Only 8 have been successful. What's your approach to this? Do you think it's got the momentum to succeed on this occasion, or will that depend on where the Liberal Party lands on it?
Well, my sense is now, Cory, that this referendum is probably doomed, because I think too many people are too concerned about the long-term implications it will have for Australia. I think it's a wasted opportunity. I think the Prime Minister is trying to make this into a political game and is trying to sheet the blame to Peter Dutton. But in fact, if there'd been greater consultation, if there had been a genuine attempt to seek bipartisan support, and if this model had been legislated rather than enshrined in the Constitution, I think the Australian people will be much more willing to give it a go and see how it works. But it seems to me that the Prime Minister has chosen the most difficult, the most taxing of routes, and the one that I think is likely to fail.
Yeah, I certainly hope it does fail, because for all the reasons you've outlined. Now, the Centre for Independent Studies is going to be holding a public discussion on the voice on April the 4th in Sydney. Who's going to be speaking at that? What do you hope is going to be achieved by having such a public discussion?
Well, it's going to be a debate, and we'll have two people arguing against the voice. My colleague Warren Mundine, who heads the CIS Indigenous Forum and with whom I edited the book that you just showed on the screen, and Senator Price will be debating alongside Warren. And on the other side we have Dr. Shireen Morris, and I'm not sure, I think that the person who is going to be with Shireen has yet to be confirmed. I could be a bit out of date there, but there will be 4 people, 2 in favour, 2 against. It'll be a debate hosted by my colleague Tom Switzer. And the idea is to have a good airing of points of view and give people a chance to hear both sides of the issue in what I think will now be quite a contentious debate.
Yeah, certainly will be. And congratulations to the Centre for hosting that 4th of April in Sydney. Get in touch with the Centre of Independent Studies if you'd like to go. Peter Kurti from the Centre for Independent Studies, thanks so much for your time tonight.